Hello everybody, welcome back. So let's have a look at Bitcoin then, shall we? And then we'll move on to Matic. So Bitcoin, let's get rid of that. Let's just have a look at it in its full view. So looking a little bit sorry for itself, to say the least. A lot more red candles than green here on the daily, and we've come back down beneath this this downwards trend. We're also beneath the 242, which has crossed over the 200 EMA. All these moving averages now are plunging down into the abyss. What's going to happen? Right, well, we have this descending triangle figure here that's come out. So we have this big descending trend that we've had in here since all the way since June. We broke above it and we have been supported above it, but now we broke beneath it. And now what's happening is we're finding support on the $8,000 area. And look what happened here today. Today we found ourselves being rejected from the descending trend, as we used to be rejected before, which is not a good thing at all. What I can say in its defence is that we're at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, or also at the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud, but beneath these areas is an absolute no man's land of just complete darkness. So if we were to break down beneath this level here, this $8,000 area, we are probably going to be coming down to our previous low area, right back down to hit around about here, around 7,400 or so, I'd say, is the likely plunge if this were to break. So we're talking about $600 in one go. That's not out of the realms of possibility. We had that move like that from here to here, more or less. So that's Bitcoin for you. But because it's one of these areas where we could break up beneath or below, whichever way it does decide to do, it will pop. So we're talking about a $400 to $600 move, either up or to the down. As the area gets tighter and tighter, it's going to decide which way it wants to go. I believe it's more likely to break to the down. However, there is an argument that it could be the opposite of that. That being that you could call this. It's not really a bull flag anymore, but it does look a little bit like a bull flag. To be honest, it looks more like a failed breakout, to be honest. But bull flag, you could still be talking about that. But since we broke down beneath this ascending trend now, which was support, and we find support on a previous support level of 8,000, suggests to me that we're probably going to take another plunge before we decide to bounce back up again. So long-term analysis has still been the same for me, which is that I do expect it to go down before it goes back up, because we had this cross here on the weekly Ichimoku cloud cross, and the conversion over the baseline. Now that did happen, and then we had this big $3,000 move from bottom to top, or top to bottom. So a lot of people are saying, well, what about that cross? And well, I'm saying, it's a long-term. We're looking at this on a weekly, so it's a long-term analysis. Okay, when we have something like this, it means continuation of the move down. That cross took place when the price action was at this level, just below 8,000. So it's reasonable to assume that we'll be going down below 8,000 again as the continuation of this move, this move that we're looking at here, this downwards trend, is still to play out. Playing out means that it will be going down below that area of 7,800 at least, because that's where the price action was when we had the cross. Normally what happens is we continue for a period of time rather than an area of interest. So I can't say that we'll be going down to 6,000, although that is not likely, but it's a possibility. But what I do suggest is more likely is that we will trend downwards over time, over a longer period of time, and not break out above 9,000 or stay above 9,000 for any prolonged period of time. We're more than likely going to be trickling down for a month to 6 weeks, maybe into next year, before we decide that it's time for Bitcoin to pick itself up off the floor and start to move up again. Just a bit of context, the last time we had a cross like this was way back here, but this was a different setup really. This is the fourth year of the 4 year cycle, which is a bear trend, so you can't really count that one, but basically, it's a good indicator of a continuation. We had the cross there and a continuation down here. It also happens in the inverse. So if we have a cross from the conversion of the baseline in a bull trend, there's a continuation. We had the cross here and we had a continuation up here. So now we had this cross here. I do expect to see a continuation down for a little longer, So I'm not going full bull mode right now. And just to put it into context, I'm not going full bull mode on Bitcoin until we break and stay above 11,200. That, for me, that would be a reasonable area to say it's definitely gone bullish again, and we probably won't be seeing sort of low figures like this, maybe even ever again. Anyway, we'll move on from Bitcoin, because I've decided that we're going to start looking at Matic again, because Matic is one of those coins that I have been accumulating for a long time now. I accumulate this at a faster rate than any other coin, because I have less time to trade and more time to accumulate, basically. So this is what I've been doing. I've been buying lots of this up over the months now, over many months. And the good thing is now, it's got to a certain age now, where on the daily chart we finally got ourselves the 200-day moving averages. So we've got a 200 EMA and a 200 simple. The simple is looking very bullish still, pretty steep, pretty erect. The EMA is pretty much dead level, or pretty much flat, with a slight sort of tilt to the down, ever so slightly. It's pretty much neutral at the moment. Now, the interesting thing about this one now for us is that we have been making some significant moves over the last few days. However, today we're on a down day when we're looking at it here on the tether pairing. It's not so much of a big deal for me though for Matic, because Matic is certainly in an accumulation area. We went parabolic here, and the inevitable happens after a parabolic move. We go down. We had a descending trend, as similar to what we saw with Bitcoin actually. Completely not the same as Bitcoin. It's trended completely differently to Bitcoin. This one, I mean, it's got its own thing going on basically. But we had a setback here, and then we broke above it. And basically better than Bitcoin really, because Bitcoin, as you can see, we go back to have a look at how it dealt with its descending trend, and it broke above it and then went back beneath it again, whereas Matic has not done that. Matic has actually stayed above its descending trend. It didn't even turn it to support. It stayed above it and stayed at a certain level, which is good and healthy, telling me that this is now actually accumulating. It's not redistributing, and to be honest with you, it looks like the bottom is definitely in for Matic, which is a good thing. What I can say though is that there's no real reason for this to go crazy anytime soon. The market is stagnant. The market's actually looking down actually. So for any coin to start to make sort of big moves now, it would be something very, very special. It would have to involve some kind of crazy news, some super partnership, or something crazy along those lines. There's nothing to tell me here that Matic's going to be making levels like this again, up to and around about this level anytime soon. But what we do see is the green, that's the 50 EMA, sort of picking itself up ever so slightly. I mean, when you see it on a steep move like this, it's looking good. What we want to see is this green above this white here. That would signify a big bold move for it, but we're not going to get that yet. It's only when we get that when we'll see some really, really decent moves. Now, I mean, realistically, they're getting closer at the moment. But I do think we're going to be having some pullbacks at the moment. When Bitcoin, I still believe Bitcoin wants to come back down, and that's going to impact Matic as it would impact the rest of the market. The interesting thing is Matic, over these last few days, as Bitcoin's been indecisive, has been making some decent moves on the sats, as you can see here. I mean, it's overall healthier in a way than Bitcoin. It's got nowhere near the amount of volume or liquidity that Bitcoin has, though. But its low price is pretty tasty to be taking some of this right now, because I would expect that in January we'll be looking at between a 2 to 3, maybe even a 4 or 5x with Matic. I think 5x might be the absolute top of it. We'd definitely be looking to, I'd say, get back to our all-time high of around about 4.5 cents by the end of January. That's my expectation, because the way I see it, the way the market looks like at the moment, it looks like we might be forming a maybe not a golden cross, but a continuation of a healthy period of growth for altcoins and the market in general. So the alt season that everybody's looking forward to or waiting for, that's not definitely going to happen. I would say we'll be looking around January for that, and the market will move as one. All coins will move, but some coins are going to move a lot better than others, and one of those coins that I believe is going to be Matic. Obviously things like Chainlink, EOS and Ethereum are all going to do very well, but out of all of those, if I was going to pick one coin that was going to move the fastest and the largest, it's probably going to be Matic. The others will definitely make big moves, but I think Matic will eclipse them in the way that it does perform. Anyway, just a brief overview there really, because there's not a great deal to look at on this chart on the daily. We'll just bring it down a little bit and we'll go down to the 4 hourly. So the 4 hourly is just taking a big massive tumble. We found support here on the 200 EMA, which is perfectly fine. It's always been a big support for Matic, as it would be for any coin generally. But that wick isn't that great, to be honest with you. We could do with a bit more of a bounce from there. It's not looking too great, so it wouldn't surprise me if we break down from this level and go below 1.4 cents again. This big bold move that we have, I don't know if there was any reason for that. Looking at it now, it looks as though this level here has been tested several times. Could be a trigger point for it. In fact, I remember rightly, this level has always been a bit of an area of support here. We've been bouncing off this one several times over the last year. So yeah, that would probably signify a local bottom for this coin, and maybe a bit of FOMO. Judging by the way that we got a big red candle from there, yeah, I think we've got a bit of FOMO since the last time we bought it back up there. In fact, these last few times that we've bounced from that level, that 1.35 cent area, it's certainly been bouncing. So yeah, I think we probably will over the next few days see Matic come back down to that level. It might be a good opportunity to pick some more up if you're looking for a short-term trade. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so it's not financial advice. Like I say, I accumulate this. I'd accumulate it down here. I've accumulated it at much lower than that. I've accumulated it higher than that, because my expectation is that Matic, within the next two years from now, but just over 2 years, is going to do some serious moves. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. Sorry, my voice is going. I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm going to have to call it a day there. But I hope you have a nice evening and take it easy. And thanks for watching. And yeah, have a good one. Take it easy.